All right, my babies, last video of the day. Debate between the grind and flow. How balance is question marks. Look at this cutie. Debate between the grind and flow. And I put this in parentheses because I'm asking myself, how is balance? Or how balance is and how balance question marks is. Yeah, I know. So let us have this debate between the grind and flow. I did a video a couple of weeks ago about the grind in games and the concept of grinding in games. And and it ended with the difference with the Bruce Lee quote actually, perfectly. Like, I do not fear a guy who has practiced 1,000 kicks, but I fear the guy who practiced one kick 1,000 times. And the concept of grinding in games is because like games are measured by skill points, right? So sometimes you have to gather skill points to get like a certain weapon. But in one of the actual like to get skill points and to be able to get that weapon gives you better like attack structure or better like you can kill like different opponents faster. But because the idea is just get points, a sword, for example, that gives you, for example, plus 100 killing strength, where right now what you can do from an experience perspective is basically only build a knife that gives you plus 10 kill points. To get that sword, you basically have to level up your knives or your basically like your whatever you construct. But let's face it, if you once you get used to building a knife basically is done. Once you get used to do anything, Jim Rohn says this. He says things don't get better, you just get things don't get easier, you get better. And the idea behind it is like whatever took you an hour at first now takes you like 5 minutes. And so what happens is because you're still gaining the same amount of points that you could actually get a better sword with. What happens is that people stop interacting with like because you first have to build a knife and then you have to build a machete or something and then you have to build like crowbars and hammers. You have to gain experience points because they serve a purpose. But you can do the same by just building a knife. So you're not actually expanding your experience. You're getting the same experience over and over and over and over and over again. And that basically is the grind because like, oh, okay, to get the sword, I need to fix like 50 fucking knives. So I'll fix 50 knives, get experience points, and then I'll spend like 3-4 hours on the sword. But that's not how it goes because ultimately you have to spend like 3-4 hours on a knife to get better at doing a knife, and then you have to spend like 3-4 hours on a machete in order to do a machete in 5 minutes, and then basically you have to go through the process of each thing in order for it to be a part of you. And the concept of grinding in games, it gives you the points, you're able to do it. But in real life, when you're grinding, what you're practically doing is gathering points that don't really matter unless you have what kind of like supports them. And so a debate between the grind and the flow is because like I've seen people trying to brute force success. I've seen them aggressively just standing every fucking day, waking up and doing the things that they kind of like decide what needs to be done. And I think that's a good starting point for somebody that's actually motivated. No, barely a few of us are able to like, I don't want to say disciplined, are able to discipline themselves by themselves. Barely a few people. I think it requires a certain event in life that we could relate to a certain kind of way to kind of like draw a line that cannot be crossed and like fully go consistently with it. Like I never had any strong line to draw, but in a way, what I'm doing, I'm kind of like, anytime I find myself going back to something or kind of like reflecting back on something or just missing out something, I place it in a design structure that allows me to kind of come back to it or do it differently in order for it to still be interesting. And that's how I kind of like grow with it. Like it got to a point where I looked at the guitar, I was like, I've been stagnant with the guitar for like 6 months. Like I can play songs and all that stuff and I can do things, but like mentally, I can't see beyond that allows me to play better. And so I hired a tutor. Like a decision needed to be made because of this, and that kind of like. But I was grinding every day for 5 minutes, and every day I'd play guitar, but like 5, 10, 20 minutes depending. And I got better at what I know, but I didn't get better at playing the guitar, right? I got better at the things that I know. It's practically like, if I just play the song 500 times, I'll be good at the guitar. No, you kind of have to play many other songs and create your own and then learn why those songs matter than every single person how they approached it, right? It's like more. So the grind is basically, I don't want to say a blind belief. Well, I do, but a blind belief that whatever you're doing is actually leading somewhere. It's not a blind belief in yourself. Because, like, a blind belief that whatever you're doing is leading somewhere if what you're focused on is what you're doing. But with the grind, you're focused on somewhere. Yeah. The difference between the grind and the flow is literally like the flow, every day you do things differently. Because ultimately, you're not forcing your own opinion on it. But when it comes to the grind, you're doing everything in accordance to something that was preset. And it only becomes a flow anytime you start changing it. Because you're learning different things. And I think that's the flow state. If you're not able to explore something deeper, I don't think you can create a flow state. Which is fascinating because I still see like carpenters when they're working, they're kind of like just, even after 40 years. Well, I see a lot of carpenters that literally just like got so good at all they do, then like whatever they do. But then their problem, like I'm saying it right now, but like these are the same people that are so good at making furniture, but they've been designing the same furniture for so long. Right? It's the same style furniture, different padding or something like this. Whilst the people that are always kind of like looking for new stuff to do or new shapes to do or new designs to do. That's what modern society calls challenging yourself. But it's really like the horriblest, I'm gonna say it that way, the most horrible word you can use. Because you're not really challenging yourself. You're exploring what else could come out of your efforts. And that's flow. And so if you're using the carpenter as an example, the carpenter that basically just does the same shit for money. Again, they're everywhere, right? Like whether it's a grocer, the world is filled with shops that have been doing the same thing for so long, and shop owners, and insurance salesmen, and bankers that are just kind of like sitting at the teller office doing jack shit. 'Cause for them, that's the grind. They're grinding every single day. It definitely only exists as a flow if you're exploring something new. So technically, right now, even though I'm not coding, I am learning though. I'm definitely like finishing a course, and I'm definitely like doing the videos of business analysis, and I'm definitely learning guitar. So technically, I'm actually like very much working and being very productive. But because the only thing I could actually think of is the work that is what I considered work. But in all truthfulness, everything is work. Funny. So like my flow shifts basically from flow of writing code, which I consider productive work because it actually visually changes the website's shape and the interactivity with it. But on the other side, learning new stuff pertaining to code or a coding software that I use, a coding language, and learning new stuff on the guitar, I never consider them as me actually working. But that's the case. Even me going to the gym every day is work. Because ultimately, like I've dedicated my life towards something. And every single thing that adds value to me, whether it's a relaxing thing, is work. But it's not work as in, oh my God, I'm working. It's literally like my work, the work that I'm doing. And I think, okay, so maybe the biggest thing about it is I think the grind, I did the grind when I managed the restaurant. For like 4 years, I'd always basically, and it goes back to the carpenter explanation, because like I'd always try to do new parties. I'll always try to add something to the restaurant. But I was only approaching the physical location of the restaurant. I was not really the the concept of the business, restaurant business, like seeing it from the outside, approaching it differently. I never tried that. I just kept grinding in the restaurant, trying to push the restaurant and trying to basically like. And it's funny because I realized that at an early stage that like the maximum I can do in a restaurant is based on the events that come and how many days I'm able to like fill the place up. So it's always going to be capped. It can't expand unless you open a big business. But I was a big another restaurant, like a franchise or something. But I was thinking about it probably all wrong. That's why all it was a grind. But now everything is super fucking flowy. It's just kind of like fantastic. I'm super glad I do these videos, by the way. I think everyone should. Yeah, I think everyone should. So debate between the grind and the flow. Grind is fully trusting that what you're doing leads to results. The flow is fully trusting yourself in that what you're doing leads to results, to the results you want. It's a video